Seems to be alright. What's happening, y'all? We're going to do a little driving around today, so I'm checking out old booger. We're going to put some miles on and make sure all the levels and everything are good, and so we don't look like Mount St. Helens out there on the side of the road. We've had a storm come through. It's kind of remnants of the Hurricane Sally, so it kind of rained for 2 days. The levels of the water are way up high, and it's extremely windy, so ain't going to be any fishing today. We're going to do some shopping. We're going to go vintage equipment shopping, which some people know I'm kind of into. It's kind of my thing. So flea markets, antique stores, we're going to hit anything that we can possibly hit. Anywhere from Gloucester, Virginia, all the way to Williamsburg, Virginia, if you're familiar with the areas. So anyway, I guess with that being said, you want to go shopping? I don't even sound right. So, we're in Gloucester at the Stagecoach Flea Market. Gotta love places like this. This is great because, I mean, I see fishing poles sticking up right there. So we're gonna go over there and take a look at what that guy's got. And that's not saying that's the only thing. There's plenty of other buildings in here. So let's go hit a few and see what happens. Well, the old flea market produced. Got a couple of things. Got a fishing rod and found an old Garcia reel that looked like it was in good enough shape to take home and clean up and get working again. So that's, hey, gotta love the flea market. I spent $10 on the reel and the rod that came with it. The rod's not much, but the reel is in pretty good shape. But I found another rod, a Eagle Claw, single hand style push button, you know, the typical $5. And it's in perfect shape. It's never been used. It's brand new. So anyway, you know, flea market produced. That's awesome. Then you have places like this. But you got to be real careful. Sometimes that word up there, antique, that means, well, let's just say that has a lot of meanings to a lot of people. To some people, that word means just because it's old, it's worth a lot. As my dad used to say, just because it's old doesn't mean it's any good. It may not have been any good when it was new. But anyway, we're going to go in there and see what they've got. If they got something that's worth getting, we'll get it. Well, antique store didn't have anything. At least not that one anyway. So we're going to head on to another one that I know of that I have gotten some things out of before. We're going to give that a shot, and that'll probably be our last hit for the day. And we'll take home what we got and see what we can do with it. See if we can make it work, clean it up, go fishing. That's always the question. Want to go fishing? Okay, here we are at the next place, which is right over there. We're going to go in there. This is the Williamsburg Antique Mall. All right, so the Williamsburg Antique Mall did have some things. The only problem is on certain things, they like the fishing reels, for example. Some of them were in boxes. What they don't realize is I'm going to use these things. I'm not going to leave them in a box sitting on a shelf to be looked at. So I did find another fishing rod for $10. What's happening, y'all? Here we are at the table of contents. Going to show you today's contents, the finds, the flea market antique store finds that I got today. I've actually never had one of these particular reels. We're going to look at this guy right now. This is it's an Abu-matic 120. I'm guessing late 60s, mid 60s, somewhere in there. It was all in one piece, all together. This is one of the keys to these things. Hit it, and if you hear it click, okay, then most likely it works. So this one, it's just nasty, dirty. Most likely, it was on a rod when I bought it, but the rod's in the back of the truck because in the vast realm of worthless fishing rods, that was one of them. All right, what else we have here? These little guys are fun. This is a Eagle Claw, brand new, plastic still on both ends, never never had a reel on it. And they call this the Feather Light. So I'm going to find something Feather Light to put on it. But I mean, it's brand new, $5. This is a Montague rod, solid fiberglass rod. This thing I don't think has ever had a reel on it. It's got some places where the paint's coming off, but I'm going to lightly sand that stuff down and paint it back. The name and everything, the Montague name and everything is still on it. All of the tie-in points for the guides are all in perfect condition, but it is a solid fiberglass rod, okay? This is probably going to go on this, and I think that is going to be extremely cool. Flea market, antique store. I mean, you're looking at $10 for that, $10. That's $20 right there. Technically, this wasn't part of it. This was an extra. This was a bonus. Some people may look at this and go, you call an Eagle Claw rod for $5 a bonus? Okay, but it is to me. These things have proved themselves. I mean, these are what got us to where we're at. Just like Elvis and Chuck Berry, got us to where rock and roll is today. And that's what these did. So, in that case, we're going to get this thing taken apart, and thank you very much for watching. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to operate on this guy here. We got 2 flathead screws here, which tells you just about how far back it goes as far as its age, because they're flathead screws. We're going to take these guys out and look inside the case here. All right. Okay, well, honestly, that looks really good in there. There's just a lot of old grease. You can see that. That's the old junk that's in there. I am probably going to scrape a lot of that out. I don't like to spray too many harsh chemicals inside, so really just scraping out the old grease that's kind of like hardened up is really just about all it needs. And then I'll oil it up good. Now, I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm just saying it's my way. But I like using the hops oil. It's really it's for shotguns, rifles, handguns, that kind of stuff. I just like using it. It's not a harsh oil. It seems to work okay, and I only use it on a few of the moving parts that go up internally into the thing. Okay, before I started cleaning on this thing, I wanted to just give a little view to you guys of what it looks like beforehand. You can see kind of got some funk going on in there, and it's just from sitting. Anyway, we're going to clean it up with a toothbrush and some dish detergent. I'm soft on these things, but I thought it was really cool the way this thing comes apart. So this is your spool. The spool goes down in here. You have a hole there, which you can see. There's a little hole right there. That little pin on that hole, or the little pin right there on the back of the spool, snaps into that hole. And there's a little lever on the side that you push on that releases the spool. Then you got, of course, the bell. This thing's really clean inside here. It's really just the housing that's dirty. We're going to go inside and clean it up now. All right, we're back after its little bath, and we got all of the Guckenschmutz, and yes, that is a technical term for fishing in reels of this age. Guckenschmutz. Feel free to use it anytime you like, but it is got a technical term. You see, we got some old grease in there. We're going to wipe that out as much as we can anyway. So there's some of that old grease. That stuff is like, it's hard as a rock. Some of it's hard as a rock, and some of it isn't. Some of it's like, you can tell the difference in the two colors. The dark brown is the old stuff that is really thick, and the lighter brown stuff is the thin. It actually was probably still decent grease. To me, I grew up with this stuff. I like giving it the second chance. You know, this thing probably set. As a matter of fact, the lady that I bought this from said that it was hers. It was her personal fishing rod, and she hadn't used it in over 30 years. She probably had about 25, 20, I don't know, maybe 27 to 30 rods and reels sitting there, but most of them were in pretty sad shape. And this one was more the style I was looking for. I am going to drop a little oil, a little bit of the hops down inside, just a little bit. You don't want to overdo it with this stuff. I see a lot of people do that. You go to winding in or reeling your line in, and you got oil rooster tailing up the front of your shirt. It's kind of neat. These things are made in Sweden. Now I use a waterproof grease, and I usually just jam it right there on the gear. Kind of just put it right on the gear there. You can see that. And that way, when it goes around, it gets in mixed in with the rest of the gear. Now, this guy here, I'm going to put a little bit of oil down there on that spring, because that is where the trigger pushes. We can actually put this plate back on. There's a little bit of nasty grease on the inside of this plate. We will put the plate back on here. That screw in there tight. Not too tight. Don't need to break anything. It's about saving, not tearing up. And for some reason, let's put this back on. Wait a minute. I'll put that back in first because that snaps right in there. Snippy snap. Then this screws back in here, and I heard it click. And then we work it around a little bit. Listen to that. That's what we want to hear. Now you got to hold on to this crank to tighten this thing in here. Get that grease worked in there and that oil going. I'm gonna put a little bit of that oil down there because there's a nice little gap right there. It looks like it can run into. And I have some Trilene Extra Tough. Oh, look at the way that goes on there now. That wouldn't even that would barely come off before I cleaned it. That was so cool. That's working good. Everything's pushing and working good. Got the little click happening. Work the grease around. And there you have it. I mean, look how that thing, other than my greasy fingers all over the side of it, maybe I'll put some Armor All on it. It'll look really brand new then. I mean, there you go. That's as close to brand new out of the box as you can get. And all it took was 10 minutes of cleaning, some oil and some grease. And there you go. And we will be using that big guy. Well, you know what? Why don't you guys just watch me do it? I really wanted to clean this up and paint it first, but I don't see the necessity behind that right now. Put that under there. Put that right there. And I'm going to tell you what, I just got goosebumps. There's no joke. I ain't kidding. Just watching this go together and seeing something that one was sitting in an antique store, two was at a flea market, is now going to be out there in the water. We're going to catch a fish or two with this thing and have some fun. If you've never done this before, I'm telling you, do it. You'd have a good time. This is really cool. Anyway, there you go. That's just cool. So there you go, guys. We brought together two separate pieces from two different parts of Virginia, brought them together and turned them into one functioning unit. This is a cool thing to do. You know, you're taking something that may have set for another 20 years and nobody touched, and turned it into an actual functioning piece of equipment. To me, that's cool. I enjoy that. The Abu Garcia 120, the Montague rod, they are now one. And we're going to get out here and go fishing with this thing eventually. That was supposed to happen today, but in the real world, plans change, things change, things changed. So anyway, hopefully in another episode we'll get that rod and reel out there and catch some fish with it. I think that's going to be really fun. I put some line on it and I've been messing with it in the house here, and it works really good. So we'll get that thing out there in the water and catch some fish. If you like what you're seeing, please hit subscribe. Hit the little bell. Some notifications will come up when I do some more things. Give me a thumbs up if possible. Give me some comments. Tell me how I'm doing. Just let me know, because I really enjoy doing this. I'm having a great time doing it. It's really brought some clarity and some bright light into my life. I'm enjoying this to no end. So please, let me know something, and just remember, you want to get hooked on something, go out here and get hooked on fishing. You won't regret it.